Open up a tab, grab a seat, and pour a pint. It's time for the Beer Guys Radio Show.
You want free beer? Go to the brewery.
Dedicated to the art, science, and enjoyment of craft beer.
Yo, what's wrong with the beer we got?
Now, here are your hosts, Tim Dennis and Aaron Williams.
Welcome to a special episode of Beer Guys Radio and Drink This Beer. I'm Tim Dennis, and I'm here with my co-host Brian Hewitt. Now, we normally bring you interviews with your favorite breweries from around the world, but today we're going to shift gears a bit, and we're going to be speaking with a member of one of America's most iconic rock bands.
That's right, Tim. Craft beer enthusiast and guitarist for Foreigner, Bruce Watson, takes a little break while on tour just ahead of their appearance in Atlanta to talk beer with us today. Bruce, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, Bruce, again, we do appreciate you taking some time. I'm sure a tour schedule keeps you extremely busy. So we love to talk beer, and it sounds like you do as well, correct?
I love it. It's it's my second or third favorite thing to do. I'll let you try to figure out what the first two are, but
it falls up there, right? Yeah,
it makes touring, it makes traveling a lot easier. It's just fantastic.
Now, have you always been a craft beer fan, or are you a more recent convert to craft beer?
I can't say always. But I would say the last 5 or 6 years is when the light went off. I was never a light beer drinker. I remember when I went to Ireland, decades ago for the first time, and I had a Guinness properly. That was my drink for a long, long time. That was my solution to the light beer option. So that's still part of my mix, but I've certainly expanded from there.
So I've heard that you also got into Belgian beers. Is that right?
Well, yeah, especially when you're Belgian, it seems like the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
And it's you can learn a couple lessons the hard way if you don't treat those with a bit of respect, because they taste so good, and if you don't respect the alcohol content, it can have interesting conclusions. But we were in Belgium. We've been a couple times in the last few years, and. That's just a whole other world.
Yeah, some of those Belgian ales a little more ABV than your pint of Guinness, right?
Yeah, that's true. And it doesn't necessarily taste that way, but if you're not semi-conscious of how much you're drinking, it can get fun.
That's now you guys are coming to Atlanta Saturday, July 29th.
Right.
And I saw in one interview you did, you're actually a fan of one of our beers here, our good old Sweetwater 420, correct?
That's right. The hotel we usually stay in it has that on tap. We discovered that probably about 5 years ago, maybe. That's a goodie.
I think that's the beer that says Atlanta. If you talk about Atlanta and beer, Sweetwater 420, that's kind of ubiquitous there. So it's
it's pretty widespread. It's easy to find around the city. So it's great.
Now we've our craft beer community here has expanded a lot over the last few years. Have you done any research coming in, or are you just going to see what the city brings you when you get here?
That's usually what we do. I mean, there are occasions where we do some research, but our schedule is so limited that we can't really reach out and take tours and do much other than try to find the best stuff that's either in our hotel or but that does bring up the fact that every city we go to, we're doing these VIB events, very important beer events. This is with Michael Bluestein, the keyboard player, and I. And I guess you're a certified beer server as well, yeah?
I am, correct.
Yeah. So anyway, we both got certified and have continued to just try to learn more and love more about beer. But with Foreigner, we've sort of found that beer and rock and roll is a pretty natural fit. And so before every show, we're hosting these VIB events where fans can come and they can pre-show with us, and there's usually 3 different breweries will come by and bring some of their wares, and we can sit around in a very informal way and just taste some different local stuff. And that's what's great. Live Nation is helping us interface and hook up with breweries that are from the area in which we're playing. So it gives us an opportunity, of course, for us to taste the stuff, but also to expose some of the local Foreigner fans to beers that they would probably maybe not have heard of. And it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
So you've done a lot of these VIB sessions around the country. Have there been any beers or styles or anything like that have really stood out to you as a result of that?
I must say, we just recently we were in New Jersey, and we we had a little event with Lord Hobo, and I would say definitely look that up. It's top shelf, and it's just really amazing. They have a pale ale called Glorious, which is like 6% ABV, but it's amazing. And they have a couple IPAs. It's just fantastic stuff. That one really comes to the fore as far as something that's blown our minds in the last few months.
Yeah, that's one I've heard of, Lord Hobo. I haven't tried anything from them personally, but it's
spectacular.
I don't think that I have either, but what a great name, right? Lord Hobo?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, are you guys, with this VIB event, I imagine this kind of answers itself, but are you guys into trying local beers? Is that something you really like to do as you're traveling?
That's most of the fun. Is just being surprised, and because there's so much out there now, of course you're going to have some ones that don't quite hit the mark, but that helps you really appreciate the ones that do, and it's so fun. I'm sure you know it's so fun when you are trying something new, and it unexpectedly, it satisfies. So it's yes, we definitely love going around different parts of the country, and we find that even regionally, depending on sort of climate and culture, that can sort of be reflected in the beers that are being made in that area. So that's fun. It's just,
absolutely.
It's all good.
Yeah, we noticed the Northeast style IPAs are big right now, and those are ones that a lot of those are coming down here. People are brewing that style here, or just bringing them in from the Northeast as well. So
yeah.
It's fun to go regionally, not just the breweries there, but the styles that are popular in those regions, and see what they have to offer there. Absolutely.
Right.
Now, you mentioned that you're a CBS, a Cicerone certified beer server, which automatically just, kind of solidifies your beer geekiness there.
Yes.
To do that. So
I'm on the path, I'm on the path.
Absolutely. Is there any ambition to go for the certified Cicerone level certification?
There's a desire, and I purchased the German beers and the British beers material, so I've been slowly nudging my knowledge forward on that stuff. I think it's really ambitious to think of becoming a certified Cicerone. That's with the amount of touring we do, it's possible, and I'm just slowly sort of, rather than having the objective of getting certified, just using their materials to just get more educated and know more about what I'm drinking and what I'm loving, and
That's what I was going to say. Even if you don't get the certification, there's just so much knowledge to be gleaned from that I've got these flashcards, these beer-style flashcards that we'll look at and just kind of see if we can, shout out a style guideline and see if we can guess it. So good beer geekiness there for sure.
Indeed.
That's exactly what we're doing. That's exactly it.
So speaking of beer geekiness, have you ever tried home brewing? Because that'll take you yet to a higher notch of beer geekdom. I think it's inevitable, and it's getting closer to being a reality. But again, I'm so with our schedule, we're home so little that it's going to take some preparation and some to make sure I have the gear ready. Because we're only home for, at the longest time during the holidays, for maybe 5 or 6 weeks. All the rest of the year, we're only home for 5 to 10 days at a time. So, but to answer your question, the desire is becoming stronger, and I bet in the next year that will happen. I think Michael and I are going to set something up and take that step.
Yeah, not a lot of time to do it when you're on tour. And speaking of touring, you guys are actually on your 40th anniversary tour now, correct?
That's it. Yep.
That's awesome, man. That's
right in the middle of it.
Fantastic.
I spent all of last night listening to Foreigner, and I'm like, they have
prep,
so
Brian.
many hits.
We had to prep.
It's like, I know all of this. It's amazing. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned earlier that, fellow bandmate, keyboardist Michael Bluestein is also a craft beer fan. Are any other guys in the band craft beer drinkers?
I have to say, selfishly, fortunately, none of them are really that avid. So when we do get some great examples and they go on our bus, they're not fought over. Michael and I simply divvy them up. So if there were too many people fighting over the great stuff, there might not be enough to go around. Really, he and I are the only ones that have taken it to this level and love it this much.
So who's the bigger beer geek, you or Michael? I'm curious about this.
We do it together so much that I can't say that. I think we're both.
co-chairs there. They both hold the title. So.
Yeah, we're both geeky and we're both professional consumers. So, we get it done together pretty much.
Awesome. Now, we saw that, I believe it was in Louisiana, Crying Eagle Brewery. You guys stopped in, took a little look there, and they actually did an IPA in your honor called Hot Blooded.
That's right.
And it sounds like it's, when we looked it up, there's an app called Untapped for checking in and rating your beers. It sounds like 14 people have actually used the name Hot Blooded. So
yeah, I'm not surprised.
Craft beer geeks love a good pun.
A good pun, absolutely. So, thinking of that, Bruce, we actually we came up with some other pun names for you that you're free to use. No royalties or anything.
Okay, cool.
So, you could do a Nitro Irish Stout called Head Games. Foreigner Export Stout would be a great name, of course.
That's good. Actually, that's really good.
And there's also, since I saw that you like Belgians, I'm thinking a Belgian called Double Vision.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Nailed. So we're going to try and break the record for the number of foreigner puns that we work in.
Foreigner beer puns.
That's it, absolutely.
How many on average do you hear in a given interview? I'm curious, so we know what to shoot for.
0?
There's always a few puns. I mean, of course, people get excited when they get to meet the band, and there's always the question, hey, does this feel like the first time? I mean, that one is like,
yeah,
we
didn't use that one, so we're good.
Yeah.
So on the last one,
foreigner export, I like that a lot. That's good.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's a good one. And of course, this is the easy one to make. You could brew a nice light drink, easy drinking Pilsner, and the instructions to serve it as cold as ice.
There you go.
There we go. So we're done.
That one drops. That one drops pretty often.
No more. We promise. No more.
Please.
Well, hold on. One more thing. Are you familiar with Untapped? Do you use that app for checking in beers?
I've been online and seen it. I have the beer styles on my phone and the off flavors. I have a couple of apps on my phone that I use, but I don't have that app. No.
Because I think you should get it because it allows you to check in and see your beers. Sorry, that one was a stretch. It was terrible.
It was terrible.
Yeah,
that hook is still in my lip and it hurts. I swallowed it. I totally swallowed it.
I apologize.
Good stuff. So now we read you did a lot of session playing before joining Foreigner there. So are you familiar with session beers? And
I am. I'm very familiar with them, and although I'm on the road touring now, I still am able to do a lot of sessions, not musically, but beer-wise. Yeah.
Right. So, are there any beers? We've talked about different styles and that, but are there any that are your favorites? That are your go-tos?
Really do like a balanced IPA. It's impressive sometimes when someone can cram so much hop content into one beer, but I really am more impressed by something that's balanced. But I love that, and I'm also finding myself more intrigued and excited about a simple beer based on a classic style, because they can be so bad, and then when they're good, it's just really exciting. Like an amazing Pilsner, an amazing Doppelbock, or just something that's based on a British or German Czech style. I'm just always excited to see if someone does it right.
We just had a local brewery here, Wild Heaven, that just released a beer last week where they collaborated with Arundel Brewing out of Sussex, England.
Yeah.
And they did one called Bestie Pub Ale, which is similar to a Best Bitter style, I think they said, Brian.
I believe so,
Ordinary bitter, best. So we call them drinking beers. It's just a beer you don't have to overthink. It's not too complex, and it's just such a fantastic beer.
It's really balanced.
Yeah.
It's for what it is. It's so light they can't even export that style of beer from Britain. It just won't hold up, and it's amazing. It's so crushable. So
love it. But just multiple pints.
That's right.
Absolutely.
A good session. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't get too excited. I can imagine from a brewing perspective, all the different kind of additives you can include in a beer and see how they assimilate and come across. But that doesn't turn me on as much as just something that's yeast, malt, water, and hops.
Sure.
And what can be done with that, and how bad they can be and how great they can be.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of breweries that are kind of returning to that. We went through the toddler teenage stages of the extremes here, and we're growing up. Craft beer is growing up some, so we're seeing a return to just brewing very quality classic styles of beer.
That's what I love.
on the flip side, what is the craziest thing you've been exposed to in the world of beer? Was the weird adjuncts and whatever people want to throw in there?
All I can think of is just like crazy fruits. It's not crazy. That's nothing. I'm probably not really answering your question, but it's shocking to me that someone who loves beer would add just kind of these crazy, pineapple-y, I don't know. It's fruit
just
additives.
All the fruits. Yes.
It's a little too sweet and just too phony, and not what beer is to me. But that'd be a good one for me to think about, because I know I probably had something that's been ridiculous. But
yeah, absolutely.
Well, speaking of fruit, then, have you ever gotten into sour styles? Because a lot of those typically do have fruitier characteristics, but it's a completely different style of beer than the IPAs that you say you enjoy so much.
Yeah. That's been at the tail end of my ability to appreciate, but I'm there now. We were just in Germany for about a month, and we went to Stone Brewing has opened this ridiculous facility right outside of Berlin, and they just had some incredible sours there, and it was summer, and we were sitting outside. It was the proper environment, and it clicked, and it was like, I get it, and you mix that in with a couple of other styles, and it just was really unbelievably great. But I must tell you, if you don't know about that place in Stone in Berlin, you should look that up. It's the most amazing facility I've ever seen, and the food was ridiculous, and it's so ballsy to think of an American, beer maker going and just jamming themselves right in the middle of Berlin, and it's incredible. It's really working.
Yeah, that wouldn't have flown a few years ago. I heard a story a few years ago of some American guys that went over to Germany and started brewing American styles, and Germans just didn't take to it. They weren't having that. So on the Stone note, we actually are having a brewery opened here in Atlanta by Mitch Steele, who's the former brewmaster of Stone.
Yeah.
And he's working on that right now. New Realm Brewing will come, and so I'm sure we'll see many of those famous Stone-style IPAs here soon when he opens up. So that'll be nice.
Yep.
So, Bruce, you guys play a hard rocking concert, have a good time. You're hot and sweaty. You had a good show, and you walk off stage. What's the beer you crack open?
Well, a lot of times there'll be a Guinness sitting there for me. That's kind of a great way to start. It doesn't necessarily sound so refreshing per se to some, but for me, it's as I say, before I got into craft beer, that was something I've been drinking for a long, long time, and so honestly, that's usually what's waiting, and I'm not mad at that.
No, I'm not mad. That's right. Yeah.
But then, the great thing is about what we're doing is we're going across the country, and we're interfacing with a lot of different brewers, and so we will have some of their product, and there's been a lot of variety, and so the bus rides are always adventurous and fun-filled, I'll say.
Speaking of traveling around and seeing a lot of different breweries and experiencing different beers, were you aware that there's a foreigner brewing company in Australia? I think it's outside of Melbourne.
That I'm not aware of.
Ah, okay.
So now you know for the Melbourne tour. There.
Yeah, exactly. So now I know whether or not you've been there. I was going to say, have you been there? And are you going to collaborate with beers with them? They sound like they're fairly young and new, but might be interesting.
Yeah, I know that. I think we're going there next year. It was at New Zealand. You said Melbourne, right?
Yeah, Melbourne. Yeah. Outside of it, I think.
Yeah, cool, man.
Awesome.
I'll check that out.
Is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't covered with you today?
Well, I just want to say how much fun we're having on this tour. It's just unbelievably successful. The energy around it is amazing. We'll be at Chastain Park, I guess, in Atlanta, and it starts with Led Zeppelin music with Jason Bonham Experience. So it's like amazingly performed Led Zeppelin music. Then Cheap Trick, pause, let that sink in, and then Foreigner.
Nice. Yeah.
It's really a great night of ridiculous songs, and the crowds, everything's been sold out, and it's going really, really great, and we're having a blast.
I'm kind of scared to go to concerts at Chastain here because I think I bring a curse with me. Every show I've went to, it's rained. And so we'll usually go and have one of the tables up front there at Chastain, and I've had to wear trash bags to stay dry. You do what you got to do, So.
Yeah, Chastain doesn't really, Chastain and garbage baggies over you doesn't seem to really go well, but yeah.
Right, yeah, not exactly a match, sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, again, thank you so much for taking time to speak to us today. We really appreciated it.
Indeed.
I appreciate talking to certified fellow certified beer
That's
servers.
right. Absolutely. Some beer geekiness there. So awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Listen, man, let's talk again anytime.
Thanks for listening to the Beer Guys Radio Show. We're on demand via iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. Always online at beerguysradio.com. Aaron and Tim are back next week with more about the amazing world of craft beer. Cheers.